Hello everyone, and let's talk about Marauders, shall we? Because I spent the week playing as a Marauder and oh my god, I hated every single minute of it. Playing as a Marauder, it is a terrible class. It's completely broken, really. I mean, the team that designed the Marauder, I don't think communicated well with the team who designed the encounters, because the Marauder just feels out of place in 3.0, complete and utterly out of place. While all the other classes in the game have had some form of mobility, the Marauder doesn't. Now, what can we do about this? I mean, I tried the Sentinel, I tried Combat and Watchman. Watchman, I would say, was probably ahead in terms of damage. I would say, because I did Ravagers with both, and we averaged between 2 and 2.5k DPS, which is not a lot, but I think the minimum requirement is 2k, so we were kind of above the minimum, but my gear, not great. I don't really have any set bonus, and I only had 186 and the odd 190 piece of gear, so we weren't greatly geared, and no stim, of course, on that. So I don't think we did too badly in terms of numbers, going back to what I remember from doing the early raids as a gunslinger. But I mean, it's just absolutely horrible. The amount of times your Master Strike gets interrupted, I don't see the point in Master Strike, to be honest. Combat is just not viable, I don't think. You really need timers. I mean, you need the star parse, you need that for the timers, and the fact that you need that to be able to play a class is ridiculous. The fact that it's required to play story mode. I mean, for hard mode, yeah, you need it. You need the timers for certain things like Wookiee Rage, etc. And the gravity pool thing that you get on, what's it called? Sword Squadron. So you need it for those things. But for story mode, Jesus, story mode is terrible. I think what they should do with Master Strike is have you sort of attached to the boss. If you think of it like, if you look at World of Warcraft, and I was leveling a combat rogue, and if you look at Killing Spree, basically if you hit Killing Spree, you're immune to stuns, knockbacks, and you attach yourself to the boss essentially. So if the boss moves, you keep moving, and that's really what it needs to be like, I think, Master Strike. We need to just stay attached to the boss for the entire duration, because it's just a horrible ability. The amount of times you start channeling it, boss buggers off, especially on Coratini. Oh, it was a nightmare on Coratini. I mean, Pearl just decided to shoot halfway across the room whenever you always when your Master Strike was off cooldown, always when your Precision was off cooldown. Precision, Master Strike, halfway through Master Strike, shit, out of range. It was really annoying, it really was. I just don't think the Guardian is affected, I think, to a lesser extent. The Guardian has better survivabilities, at least. But again, I would like to see Master Strike needs to be changed, because it just doesn't fit with this whole everything moves every 2 seconds ethos of the game. I mean, Master Strike is a 3-second channel at least. I mean, there's not any other class that really has that. You could argue the power tech's a flamethrower, but then again, if our flamethrower gets interrupted, it's not a huge deal, because Master Strike is, at least in combat spec, our best damage ability. And it's the same for a Vigilance Guardian. Master Strike, we want that. It's not a huge deal if one of your Master Strikes maybe gets interrupted, because you can get it back again. You know, you can reset the cooldown on it, at least as a Guardian, and get back to doing Master Strike. But again, it's just really, I just don't think it fits in with any of these fights. There was really, Master Blaster was like the highest one I got. I think I got like 2.6k DPS on that. That was the highest that I managed through the run. And I can hit, you know, you can hit as a power tech, similarly geared. You're hitting sort of 3.5k on those bosses. I mean, Torque, forget Torque DPS. Who cares about DPS on Torque, to be honest with you? It's all about survival, Torque story mode. You're just trying to avoid the fire, and, you know, you're killing the, what are they called? The shoots lasers. You're killing them, essentially. Killing them, avoiding fire. But again, it's just so horrible. At least the shoots lasers don't move, I suppose. You can get your Master Strike off on them. But the rest of it is just horrible, the Marauder. I don't know what they were thinking about when they designed it. Survivability, it has had a buff in 3.2.1, but again, I never won a quest. I took my Marauder out, I actually took her out of my stronghold, got legacy gear, for them both. So they were in the same gear at least, and it's both Sentinel and Marauder, I should say. Gave my Marauder lightsabers. Did Ziost as a Marauder. Didn't enjoy it whatsoever. It's like you're driving a Rolls Royce through a war zone when you're going around with someone with 35 million credits. At least you had at the time. And it's like, yeah, don't kill me, don't pull. You know, you're like, that thing's getting close, that elite's getting close to me, and it's like, Jesus. Had to take Quinn out with me, and I eventually just picked up Treek, because I'm like, screw it, I'm going to pick up Treek. I'm going to put her in 192 gear, put her in healer mode, and then, yeah, just heal me, Treek, you know, because you're nervous when you're questing. At least as a Sentinel, you know, you don't have as much money. At least you only got 3 million, the Sentinel. You know, you're like, don't kill me, I don't want to die, because I don't want to lose that, because that's my bank ult, essentially. But, you know, it's such a pain. So I finished Ziost with the Marauder. Good story, actually, as the Emperor's Wrath doing Ziost. Maybe I should have live streamed it, but it was interesting. But it was just me swearing at the screen, saying, "Don't fucking kill me." That's all it would have been in that stream. But yeah, the footage that you're looking at, it's not great, I know, but that's all I could do when I was recording. So I mean, I don't like this. I don't, honestly. That's the other thing as well, is we still die. We are still victims. We're still the victims. I mean, it's not like a Shadow where we have decent defensive cooldowns, or a power tech, you know, where we can move a bit quicker. I mean, the change to Transcendence is a little bit better. We can use it on cooldown. If we use it with the 30 stacks, I think it still gives the raid buff, everyone's speed buff, but it's like, to hell with everyone, I'm sprinting out of here, kind of thing. And you're like, and yes, you do still have your inspiration, you still have that big raid cooldown, so it is probably worth taking a Marauder. But yeah, they always seem to die. It's always the first person to die. Notice that when we do progression, it's like the first person to die, yeah, it's a Marauder generally. It's always our Sentinel. I try healing him, I try successive treatment, you know, doing being a Marauder on Torque. Oh, it's not fun. Torque HM is, oh, it's fun. It's fun. I mean, you bring them for the buff. You bring them essentially for the raid buff, because you want that 10%. It's 10% extra damage for 10 seconds. So it really makes a difference in the burn phase. But yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things that we put up with them now. I mean, yeah, I think the players that play them now have they've started to evolve and get smarter, at least. As far as I see, at least. I mean, they're playing a bad class now, but the kind of idiot players have all moved on to Sorcerers. You're finding it's Sorks that are the troublemakers in raids and in pug groups and flashpoints, etc. It's the Sorcerers that are the problems now, because all the Marauders have either quit the game or moved on to Sorcerers, spamming that bloody Chain Lightning. Oh, not Chain Lightning, Lightning Storm. It's like, it's their only ability. I did a flashpoint as my assassin, and I had a sniper who spammed suppressing fire on single targets, and I had a sorcerer who spammed Lightning Storm on a single target. That was it. That was it. I was tanking. You know, it was like, oh, god damn it. It's like, are we really gonna do this? Are we really gonna have all this? I mean, it's not a problem for an assassin tank, because you've got a decent amount of AoE, but really annoying, especially on the bosses. You know, we got through the bosses, and it's like, oh god, using them. I mean, the Marauders tend to have mellowed a bit. Actually, I don't find them as bad as they used to be, because there's not a lot of them around. It's very rarely that I do see them in groups. Used to see groups, it was melee DPS. Most of them were Marauders. I'd say a good, at least half of the group could have been Marauders, but now you see maybe one or two of them. That's what I mean when I don't see many around right now. I'm mostly seeing Vanguards, because they're a bit OP right now. Vanguards, power techs, obviously on the Empire. Your Shadows are really good. Shadow's my favourite DPS class. So, in answer to the question, should you play a Marauder in 3.0? Not if you like living. You know, if you want to live and you want some mobility and, you know, you want your class to be able to survive. That's the thing, we just lack flexibility. I mean, the damage numbers are there, apparently. I mean, the damage, it can produce the damage, given the right circumstances. But I think we're so sensitive to boss mechanics that we just struggle, really. I prefer the Shadow and the power tech as well. And end up going them for a lot of fights these days. But yeah, that's what I tend to do these days, is just go for them. I mean, again, what do you think? Do you think that Marauders are a dying breed. I mean, again, it was arguably one of the most rolled classes in the game, was the Marauder. At one point, if you remember, the Jedi Knight and Sith Warrior were the top two rolled classes. So you can imagine that a good proportion of them were Marauders. I'd say probably the majority of them are Marauders. About 2/3 of them, someone said. Can't quite remember who were Marauders, were Sentinel Marauders, should we say. So you'd imagine that it's not a good idea to kind of mess up one of the most rolled classes in the game. I don't think it's a very smart move, really. I mean, I get that they want class diversity. We've not even touched on PvP, because I won't even go into PvP. Apparently they're terrible in PvP as well. I don't know what they're like patch 3.2.1. They still have survivability issues, I find. I still see them having that. Despite the mobility increase that you get from Transcendence being a cooldown now instead of attached to centering. Now we could use Berserk more often. I can't remember what it's called. Zen, I think it is. We can use that more often, which is a slight DPS increase for us. The fact that we can use it. The fact that we didn't have that choice of, do we want more damage or do we want to survive with our stacks of centering or our stacks of, what is it, enrage or whatever the hell it is. Or is it, yeah, I think it's Berserk or whatever it is on the Marauder. I can't remember. I've been playing a Watchman Sentinel. And been playing a combat, what is it called again? Carnage Marauder. I can never remember these names, too many names in the game. So anyway, yeah, I'm not a fan of the Marauder, never been a fan of the Marauder, but it is a horrible class to play, horrible class to quest with, horrible class to solo with, and guess what I'm going to be leveling? No, I'm not going to level the Marauder. I was going to level another sniper, actually, just for the hell of it. But yeah, I mean, that's all we got to say about the Marauder. So thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again soon. And goodbye.